honestly, it just came to me in prayer. And, I just kept praying, well, how can I do more for them?
Hello and welcome to Kept in Her Heart, where we talk about all things faith-related. I'm your host, Jenny Fuchs. Today, Carrie Bednarzik joins us from G.R.A.C.E. G.R.A.C.E. is an organization that helps caregivers of children with disabilities to get respite care and to recharge so they can become better caregivers. Welcome, Carrie.
Hi.
And can you tell us a little bit about G.R.A.C.E., how you founded it, and what it's all about?
Sure. Well, G.R.A.C.E. stands for Granting Respite and Care for the Extraordinary. I'm an occupational therapist, pediatric, so I've worked with children for, 20 some years, and been sort of all over, in clinics, hospitals, schools. As much as I loved therapy, I always felt like, there just seemed for me that there was something more out there that I wanted to do for parents. I often heard at a lot of the meetings that they needed a break, just time for themselves. And so honestly, it just came to me in prayer. I just kept praying, well, how can I do more for them? I'm doing therapy, I'm hanging out with them, I'm teaching them, doing just all the things that my job requires. And I just kept praying. And so in prayer, I heard just respite. And I thought, well, that's kind of basic, how do I provide respite? So I got on the internet, of course, thinking, well, there's got to be something out there already that provides respite in the area. Well, there's respite services, but in my head, or maybe so what God was putting in my head was that I wanted it to be free. I wanted it to be very little hoops that they had to jump through. Oftentimes when you're applying for PCAs or personal care attendants or help, you have to go through all this paperwork and go through all these hoops. And a lot of the parents sort of give up, or they fill it out and they're on a waiting list for support. So through prayer, I thought, it's got to be free. I have to figure out how to find these people to support parents for free and with very little hoops. So that's sort of how it started. And then it was just researching the internet and thinking about how can I do this and praying some more. Where would I get volunteers? And I always knew the families that I worked with, I knew they needed help. So I never was nervous about where do I find the families? Because when I worked at the school district, I had a lot of connections and families that I formed relationships with and kids that I start to love as I'm doing therapy. So that's how it was born. And I think the name G.R.A.C.E. as well, that's one thing that as you're naming something, it's kind of like, oh, is this right or is this not right? Branching G.R.A.C.E. Is the website. And so I went back and forth on that name, but the acronym came right to me and I thought that's gotta be it. Because it's granting respite and care for the extraordinary. And that's truly who we work with, the extraordinary, the kids, the families, the caregivers. So,
yeah, that is wonderful. Tell me about some of the services you offer specifically for the families.
We do respite events, is what we call them. And we have 4 of them this year at a local church, Constance Church in Andover. And being an occupational therapist, I set up unique activities for the kids. And so we have different rooms that we do different things in, some fine motor activities, gross motor, sensory. They come and play, and the parents can drop the kids off and go about their way, go see a movie, go out to dinner, whatever it is that they want to do that night. It's on Friday nights at the church. A new thing for us is a parent group that we just started last April. So along with our respite events, we will have dinner for the parents that want to stay and hang around. And we usually have a speaker or just a community building for those parents, getting support from each other and listening to stories and asking questions and bouncing things off of each other. I think as big as the community is, I feel like the community is big. It can oftentimes feel isolating for those parents. And I think it's really helpful to have support around you of others going through what you're going through and not really have to explain it. They just know. And so that's been something fun and new for us that we started. It's called The Chat.
Yeah, I think that is so important to get parents, caregivers who are struggling with the daily tasks or the emotional stress or all of those different things together, and being able to support each other and come up with solutions maybe they haven't thought of, and just having that connection is super important. And the care that they get, that small break, can really help them recharge. And we all know as moms or whatever, right, we need the recharge, right? Because you can't give what you don't have, and if you're on empty, you can't be your best self, and you can't give the best care to your children.
Right, exactly.
It's super important. That is an awesome service. So how do families who want help or want to connect with your organization, how do they find you?
Branchandgrace.com is the website, and so they'll find everything on the website. Calling Constance Church, they will know, all the events that are going on as well. I send out a newsletter once a month, and so through our website they can get on the mailing list. We don't have the dates yet, but we are hosting two or three events at Jam Hops in Blaine, which is a gymnastics and dance center. So those dates will be coming out soon as well, giving the kids just a little bit different activities to do in a different space to have fun in. And the chat will come along with that as well. So we'll have a parent group start there too, but we just don't have the dates yet for that. So just go to the website and everything's there. We host kindergarten through 5th grade children, and it's just awesome for them because they can just be who they are, and it's all kids with special needs and their siblings, and so they can come hang out too.
Well, that's very nice. Yeah. And have you seen connections there with the children as they play? Like the children connecting with other children like themselves?
Yes. Yeah. And that's what I expected. I think one of the sweet, kind of unexpected miracles that have come out of this is the siblings, and having them join. I think it's the siblings seeing other siblings, and just also sort of like the parents looking at each other like, oh, you know what it's like. And it's a joy to have a sibling with special needs, and it's also just different for them. Yeah. So that has been sort of a sweet little thing I hadn't thought of, I just thought include the siblings because then they get a true break. Yeah. Their house can be empty, or they can go to the chat and really relax because all the kids are there downstairs playing and having fun, and something sweet that came out of it I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, that's a brilliant point because I didn't think of that either. You think of the immediate caregivers as the parents, right? But the siblings often do a lot in caring for their siblings as well, and so they also need a time to let go and have fun, and and relate to others that are in similar situations.
Absolutely.
These events sound really awesome. Is there additional options for people who can't make these events to get respite care?
We did in-home support prior to COVID, and then sort of things changed, and I would love to provide that, but we just don't have the volunteers for that right now. We really pride ourselves in matching the volunteers one-on-one. So when the child comes, they are matched really carefully with a volunteer, just age and skill and sort of I don't know. I know the volunteers really well. I know the families really well. And so I like to have one-on-one for the kids. If a family's in need of in-home support, I'll look for a volunteer, but we just haven't had that much luck finding those that will go in-home on a consistent basis. Sure. So right now we're focusing on the respite events.
And if people are thinking, this is a great organization, I want to help them out, what ways do you need help, and how can they connect with you?
Would love any more volunteers, always volunteers, to help out at the events. And we do a little mini training. It takes about an hour. And once they're trained, they're good to go. Okay. And like I said, they're matched one-on-one. And so we always need volunteers and volunteers to help with the organization. I'm always looking for new ideas and growth in social media and those sort of things, administrative help. So any of that is welcomed, and would love to chat with somebody that's interested in that. And then of course, monetary donation is always helpful. You know, we put on different activities depending on the event. So the event does not stay the same for the children. So I'm always trying to think of new activities and toys and games and those sorts of things that we use our money for. And then hiring speakers to come in for the parents and putting on a nice dinner and those sorts of things. So donations are always welcome too.
Yeah, that's excellent. Are there any stories of lives changed or helps given that you could share with us?
Well, I have a volunteer story.
Sure.
That was kind of cool. This last event, there was probably 5 of them, National Honor Society students that just happened to come from Andover just because it's close to the church. And I was a little bit like, ooh, that's kind of young. I'm not sure, not a lot of experience with kids with special needs. And I thought, you know what, let's go for it. And so they came, and it was so fun because obviously, they have a child heart too. And they just jumped in and were awesome. And at the end, one of the girls said, oh, I'm so excited. I didn't know I had this. I think I have a skill that I didn't know about. I think I can work with kids with special needs. And I thought, well, that's something I didn't plan for, just sort of opening up a world for young people or people that haven't worked with kids with special needs. And even if it just changes their outlook in the community and they feel more comfortable to approach a child with special needs, it's awesome. Yeah. So that was one of the cool, awesome volunteer stories that came out of it. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Oh, I got goosebumps. It's so good. All right. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with us about Grace or about the program?
It's fun. It's engaging. The kids love it. The parents are really appreciative, and I love seeing all the smiles.
Yeah, that is wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing about that. If you guys want to learn more about Grace, we'll have the link to the website in the description, and you can check it out. I hope that you would volunteer. And if you've got a child with special needs, maybe put in the comments what you've liked about programs in your area, or if you'd like to get something started in your area, maybe Carrie can be a resource to help that get going. So subscribe, and keep watching for more content like this.